I think we're live now. Hopefully everyone can hear us. I'm sorry we're running a bit late, guys. I am back with Emmy from House of Chatter. How is everyone today? Emmy, do you want to say hi? Sorry, I talked over you then.
Oh, I was just saying hi to to everybody in the chat.
Oh. So we're here today to have a conversation about because you wanted to talk about this deposition expert, Nicole Alexander. And I've been covering a long-winded series of getting through that monstrous 350-page deposition.
It's a monstrous deposition, and I feel like there was a lot of repetitive questions.
There is. There is. That's normal. That I feel like that's quite normal. Yeah, so I think I've done a part 6. Is it done? Have I done a part 6 or a part 5? I can't remember off the top of my head. I've done one of them. Today, earlier, I released the latest part. I'm actually now going to my studio. Part 5. Yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to do part 6 because I have the Candace Owens motion to dismiss in her case against the Macrons. So that's going to be coming at 4 p.m. Eastern. I think that's going to be published. So I didn't do another part to this deposition today because it's just a lot. Okay. Oh, we've already got hi Christy. So Christy's asking what happens if Paul Wayfarer if she's discredited as a witness. So even if they discredit her as a witness, the worst they're gonna do is make her look incompetent and like she doesn't know what she's talking about. So then the other witness, the lively witness, will be more persuasive, I guess. That doesn't mean that the case is won. Doesn't prove that Lively was sexually harassed or even that there was a smear campaign. So that's pretty much it.
It looked tried really, really hard to discredit her or at least discredit her work.
But that's their job, though. In fairness to Meryl Gabernsky, that is literally her job. So she's going. We saw like early on in the deposition, and bear in mind I'm only like so far into the deposition, so I haven't read it all. But the initial questioning started around qualifications and experience. So she's laying the foundation there. She absolutely will say, well, you're not qualified or you don't have enough experience to be talking about this. Then they got into the report, and I will be 100% honest, I did not like the way it was going for this expert at all. Even if I take out, now, I don't know AI enough, but that's not a bad thing actually in this scenario, because I think when I did part 4 yesterday, I was sat there going, oh my God, these AI detecting software, I don't know what they are, apps or something, they were, suggesting that there was really, really high chance that paragraphs in her report were AI generated. But I'm not an AI expert, but neither is the jury going to be. So, and I've had a few people who, amazing, actually, thank you for the insight. It's like people who are actually AI experts have come in, left me a comment and say, oh, actually, this is this. And they've explained it to me and the unreliability. I appreciate that the expert at the start also said that these detecting software is not reliable, but at this point she's not looking overly reliable either. So, but I've had other people come in who do work in AI have said no, it's not reliable, which is really helpful context. But Wayfarer are going to have to get ahead of that because like reading that deposition as an ordinary kind of person who does not understand like computational sciences or data analytics or anything like that, or AI, like to be hearing, oh yeah, paragraph, I don't know, 92 or 24, it was kind of, it was the detecting software said it's like 80%, 90%, 100% AI generated. To me, that sounds terrible. So it's for Wayfarer. Wayfarer are going to have to kind of get on top of that and to trying to rebut that. And it's going to be for them to say, well, no, here's this study or this paper on the unreliability of these AI detecting programs. And because the jury are going to have about as much knowledge about AI as I am.
Yeah, well, there are some academic papers that do challenge the AI predictors. I know that the AI predicting some of the software my teenager in high school has to use, because he has to I guess the school has to check that he's not, plagiarizing or utilizing AI or anything. So his school uses like the AI predictor things or whatever and examines the reports. And then they do say sometimes they can get it wrong, and sometimes, the results are kind of not as reliable as they would like it. So I think, and really the realm of AI is just, it's kind of new. You know what I mean? So
yeah. It is that. Well, that's one of the points that one of the people who does work with AI said in the comments as well to me is, oh, this is new. And yeah, I completely agree with that. It's not the AI bit that's worried me. I'm just going to sort of say to both Just Snooping and to Christy, no, they cannot hire someone else. We are, the expert discovery is now closed. So that's it. The reports are done. The depositions are done. There is no opportunity to go and get someone else. I agree. AI is not accurate at all. However, my bigger worry with her, from the legal perspective, I guess, is that her report seems very, very sloppy. It really does. I literally cannot think of another word for it. If you are leaving in citations where you are not using them, if you are not checking the names of the authors on papers that you are relying on as a source, if you don't understand what numbers are, what they refer to, and it turned out they were like pages of a paper, I believe, but she didn't seem to know that. Well, why do you not know this? And these are questions that are going through my mind. And I think Meryl Gabernsky is actually doing a not a bad job of pulling that apart a little bit. The AI bit is a bit of a, okay, well, it's something that made my ears prick up for a moment, and it will to people like the jury as well. But the big problem I think I have is she seems very underprepared for this deposition.
Oh, I agree.
How can you go to a deposition? Right. I suppose the best way to really compare for me, I guess, is I've been following this case and commenting on it both on X and YouTube pretty much since the beginning. We were just literally talking about this, weren't we, Emmy? Right. So I first came into this in January with the metadata find. I then started talking generally. And since then, I have followed this case and every related case. That'd be Jed Wallace in Texas, all the way to, all the various subpoenas in California. There was the Taylor Swift one as well in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And that also includes the other, what doesn't appear on the surface, but to me, is related, is like Travis Flores's estate suing Brian Friedman's firm. So there's been, and the Harco company, the insurance company, the New York Times, and I can, take my memory here, there, and everywhere without needing to, have it all in front of me. I'm not saying I remember absolutely everything, but if you're like, this is an expert witness. So she is, like I think I had a couple of comments where people were saying, oh, well, of course she's not expected to remember. Actually, no, as an expert witness, she's expected to know why she chose that paper. What about that paper that she's cited led to her forming her opinion? And she should be able to remember that, because when she gets on the stand in the trial, she has to be able to recall this from memory. She's not going to get to sit there with her papers.
So I guess my question is, do you think that she was too green as a court expert witness? Or do you think that she was just underprepared?
I think she was underprepared, definitely. And she wasn't well a few days beforehand because they had to cancel her original deposition schedule. But the thing is she can't really rely on that, though, as a reason, because at the start, Lively's lawyer said, well, you were ill. Are you better? Is everything now resolved? Are you fit and well enough to be at this deposition? And Nicole Alexander said yes. I'm better, I'm fine, I'm good to go, kind of thing. I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
But
do you think that they could have found somebody more expert?
I don't know. I mean, we haven't got into the full deposition yet, so we don't know how expert. This is what I keep saying this in my videos. How I feel about what I've read is how I feel about literally what I've read in that moment. So I feel at the moment, this doesn't look or sound great, and she does sound underprepared. And there's a lot of mistakes in her report, which is not a good look either. But we've got hundreds of pages. Well, we've got over 100 pages still to go. She could turn it around. I'm hoping to just see her demonstrate some of her knowledge. I think when I did part 5 today, I come away thinking, all right, okay, I'm starting to hear twangs that she actually knows what she's talking about here. It sounded better today than yesterday. Yesterday, I felt like I was reading the transcript of a murder. Hi, Rose is Wild.
It gets pretty dicey. And I don't know if it's like, if maybe she just like didn't anticipate these type of questions. Like maybe she didn't anticipate the, I don't know, amount of attacking of her report.
Yeah. No, she's got no experience. She's not done this before. So yeah, that's a factor. And as just Snooping says, what if she was nervous? Didn't realize Meryl Gabensky was definitely quite on the aggressive side. I will say that. And yeah, that could well be a factor too. And I'm hoping, like I say, because we're only kind of we've read the first about 2 hours of a 7-hour deposition so far in my series. So I'm hoping like she'll settle down a little bit and get into it. But it's obviously her first time sitting for these kind of depositions, as an expert witness in a litigation. So that is going to be it's going to be a factor, definitely. Really, 143 or 148 times, really?
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
I think it was like DUC. It was a lot of DUC repetitiveness.
Oh, you do that though, because she's showing a new exhibit, so then and she has to say, "Do you see that?" That's common.
Yeah, there was a lot of repetition and questions, but I kind of want to pick your brain on this. In her report, Alexander said that she could not replicate her or Blake Lively's expert I don't know, data set. Like she couldn't.
Yeah, data set. Yeah, I got to that bit today. So that's in my part 5, and that's the bit I got up to today. I'm curious to know a bit more about that. I'm not sure why, and what parameters was she given? I mean, I don't understand too much the whole AI or data sets or anything like that. That's not something I have much experience in, to be honest. But I think I have to see a little bit more about, what she said. But yeah, that was like the first. That's what I mean by that was the first point where I was like, okay, maybe you know what you're talking about, because she made a very good point actually in the portion that I read today. In that, I think Meryl Gabernsky was like, well, why didn't you just use, this? I can't remember. Maislin use her data subsets, and Alexander was like, well, why would I just trust her data sets? I want to replicate it, which is a good point.
Right.
You don't just take someone else's, because then that's effectively conceding then that what Lively's expert has presented is accurate, is going to yield accurate results. And that's not a given.
Right. And at this point, Lively's team has seemed so not as accurate as what I would think, that it just seems like everything that they do, it takes away a little bit of like, I have doubt. You know what I mean? Like Lively stories falling apart. Some of what the lawyers are filing, that's falling apart. Why wouldn't their expert fall apart, when we're examining it too? We can't duplicate it. There's all these other questions that are coming along. This is a pattern that we're seeing. It's like, we can't replicate it. We can't duplicate it. We can't see it. We can't touch it. Everything is blacked out. Everything is in darkness. It just seems like force.
But I mean, if to turn it on its head a little bit, right? If there was nothing wrong with, let's just say for argument's sake, there's nothing wrong with Lively's experts data sets, I would then be a bit concerned if this Wayfarer experts couldn't, with the same tools, the same, like, I don't know, parameters, everything being the same, could not replicate it. And then you've got other things on top, like, the mistakes in the report, unable to explain, how she formulated parts of her report, how she got to some of the opinions. Because I think I got a bit kind of frustrated even today. I was like, but how can you say you don't know? It's your report, And I find myself saying that a little bit. And with an expert, you shouldn't have to be saying that. It should be just rolling off the tongue, because that's why they're there. That's why they're being paid a lot of money. They should know what it is going into their report. I'm not saying they should know everything and they should have read absolutely everything, but they should know their report that they've written for this case, especially this one, because it's their first time as well. So I would have thought that extra care would have been taken, but I can't help but be a little disappointed that it's not coming across that way so far.
Yeah, I would have expected, like, if she was questioned on it, I kind of would have expect, like, I would probably, if it were me, I'd probably have a report, and then I'd have like my references, and then I'd probably have like the thousands of articles that I've read, just in case there's like, I probably would have been over prepared, but I don't know if she's allowed to have additional information, because I know that sometimes people will get in interviews or even in healthcare, you see a doctor or healthcare provider, everything falls out of your head. You get anxious, you get nervous. Maybe something like that happened. I don't know, but I also don't know what you can have access to, because like if it were me and I was in that position, I probably would have like 3 tables full of information that if you're going to ask me, I would probably have to like dig through to give you the answer, to be honest.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fair. I mean, sometimes you're citing a whole paper, like you are taking them to like maybe one sentence in that paper that supports where you're going with that argument.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she should be able to remember, like, oh yeah, well this report, well yeah, that's because they said this, and this, and I found that to be very persuasive, and it correlated with what I discovered. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when we were doing these scrapings, I don't have no idea what data scrapings are, but you know, I'm just, do you know what I mean? Like that's how she should be explaining her use of sources, same as any other field, really. You know, if I was to take it away from, you know, computational stuff and put it into law, you know, that's when we have case citations or we refer to statutes. It's like, okay, well, the judge said in this case, this, and this, and this, and which is supports what we're, you know, our position as well, and our reliance on this two test or, you know, this particular statute. And this is why you need to dismiss the case. This is why you need to find judgment in our favor. That's so it's lawyers will know, there will be, like, you know, cases that they know incredibly well, um and they won't even need to go to books or to papers to cite them,
Mm-hmm.
because they are kind of, you know, they're huge cases, they're binding precedents. But then there will be, you know, a lot of work into these big filings where all the citations are, will be, you know, various people like legal assistants or paralegals going around, you know, gathering up a lot of the looking up all the cases that fit and then putting them forward. And that's how these reports, these expert reports, are kind of, it's the same thing. It's just it's in her field of expertise. Does that make some sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. I still question why they have her, you know, but and also I thought they would probably have a little bit more experts. Do you think that more testimony from different experts are going to come out, or is this everything is just
Yeah,
it's
no,
done?
there'll be more. Oh yeah, because we've already seen, I think we've seen one, oh gosh, I can't remember who it was, but he was talking about like I think the trend, and
Oh,
he was rebutting Lively's expert on the trend in the social media stuff, and I loved that. See, I loved that. There was that bit of a report, I think it was. Yeah, that's it. It got thrown
yeah.
into one of the Jones Works filings because Stephanie Jones referred to it. So they were like, oh, well, you've accepted it. You've waived any objection. And they threw in the report. And I loved that report. Really loved that report because that was so good. And it actually blew apart Lively's, you know, kind of opposing expert, who this expert was designed to rebut. So there are multiple experts involved in all of this. This is just one expert. And I think maybe there's a bit of me that's comparing this person. Again, we haven't seen her deposition, so we are only going on what is being read into, not a deposition. We haven't seen her report, so we're only able to work off what we're hearing in the deposition, what's been read into this deposition transcript about the report she's written. She may have actually done a really good report overall. It just has a lot of mistakes, which are not great, but not, you know, they don't undermine the substance of her report. But the other report that I will look for it while I'm here. The other report that was in the Jones Abel docket, which is a Wayfarer report, actually did really impress me. So yeah, there may be a bit of comparison there.
I was really impressed with the James F. Haggerty report.
That's the one. I think it
Mm-hmm.
is. Yeah, that's the one. I
I
think
have it
I'm.
pulled up. Yeah. I
Yeah.
loved it. It was simple. It was straightforward. He made it very clear that he's very qualified. The first
Yes.
impression that I had, I was like, wow. It's like 5 pages of 6 pages, no, 7, 6 pages of his qualifications, you know, and I love the fact that it calls out Blake Lively's complaint that like there's no reference to this graph, we don't know where it came from. You
Yeah.
know. Um
Yeah, it's Haggerty's report was the one I really enjoyed as well.
mhm.
Yeah, and I think there may be a little bit of me kind of right. Well, I've read that. I've been a bit spoiled actually because that actually annihilated some of Lively's arguments about the social media trends and
Mhm.
because it also pointed out quite bluntly what we've all been screaming for months is and I've been saying this especially on the Texas docket as well, because Jed Wallace, one of his filings, actually made this point months ago, that you cannot have this kind of global smear campaign in just a matter of days. It's impossible.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It says effectively changing public opinion in media and social media trends tends to take weeks or more often months. It is highly unlikely that negative reputational sentiment could have been artificially created over the course of mere days. I love
Yeah.
that part.
And it's not just that, you've got the graph there as well. So you can see for yourself. Like there's other graphs there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I am honestly, I'm trying to get is on the Jones docket or on the Lively?
It's on the Lively docket.
Oh, see, I'm in the wrong one.
Do you want me to send it to you?
No, it's all right. I'll get that. What's the docket entry?
It is docket 1113 tac 1.
Right, okay. Because I hate talking about things when we don't have it in front of us.
Yeah, and there's there's just so much to go through. But I love this report. But also, do you think that their case is strong enough, even with, like, if we ignored this report, do you think that Wayfarer has a strong case or can be convincing just based off of Jed Wallace's testimony and the fact that he might be the greatest grifter on earth in this whole scenario? As far as, I don't use bots, it was all puffery. He sat back and did nothing, and then he collected nearly $100,000. I mean, that's not a bad gig.
Yeah, but I understand that a little bit. Like, 'cause my dad, he does actually work in computing. And when he was a contractor, there was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. He worked for some huge organizations, government organizations, like the whole police headquarters, the London Underground. And there's times when you've got to be on call. It can
Mm-hmm.
be over like bank holidays and weekends as well. Of course, I'm talking in UK terms here, but you will have holidays as well, like Thanksgiving, etc. Um, but it's a lot of money as well because there's quite a lot of skill that goes into it. So I was not surprised to see those kind of figures being pushed around. I just wasn't. Um, I've now got the thing. So yeah, I loved see these graphs, right?
I
I
love
love,
those graphs.
and he made a very good point that um, there was there was no sense of methodology used to compile the data, how decisions as to what is a positive or negative mention. So the Lively's what Lively was saying, well, it's all negative, but it wasn't necessarily all negative. But when you're talking about, like Lively alleges that she's been sexually harassed or she's been smeared, even if you support Lively, that was still kind of being pushed as a negative sentiment. So, yeah, there was because there was a big spike when her CRD came out, and clearly
Mm-hmm.
there was overwhelming support for Lively until Wayfarer filed their kind of lawsuit,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone actually got the other half of the story. So yeah.
I have a question. Can they actually challenge that graph that is in Lively's second amended complaint? Can they challenge, like, or can they ask the Lively parties where they got that chart and where they got that data?
Can they what in their second amended complaint? That's what
Yeah.
this report does.
Well, because he's calling out that there's no references. There's, we don't know where this came from. We don't know the methodology.
Yeah.
Maybe this could have been an AI tool or a scraper. Are they
Yeah.
able to challenge that in court as well?
It's going to be, well, I'm not sure how the parameters of how the New York rules of evidence are going to work, or the federal rules of evidence. I don't really know how they all work in practice because I've never been at like a New York federal case. I'm assuming so. I would imagine so. In the UK, they would be able to.
Yeah,
So
it
they're
just
going to sit
seems
and
like,
present a similar. They're going to sit and, like, the best comparison, I guess, would be the Depp trial when you had the experts. You had them pitted against each other. So I suppose, like Dr. Curry versus Dr. Hughes, and they're both reading from their kind of perspective. Is that what you mean? Or
yeah, I just find it odd that, well, maybe I don't find it odd that Lively would leave out references, but like, I kind of almost want to think that because there's no references, maybe some of this is photoshopped.
anything is possible. That's just it. Like, because we don't know. I'm never one really to kind of, like, I don't love speculating because that's not what will go into the court hearing. If Wayfarer, they'll use the questioning, and then they'll use this report as well, which is designed to rebut Lively's expert. But also, like what's going on now in Nicole Alexander's deposition is, where there is mistakes and flaws, Lively's lawyers are kind of impeaching her then on that and saying, well, hold on that. How can you not know this? Or why would you leave that in if you didn't mean to, they're asking questions they've got to ask.
Yeah. And doesn't this graph, at least that Lively produced in her complaint, doesn't that prove that she was doing the same thing that Wayfarer was doing? Monitoring social media, looking at the trends, doing the exact same thing. I mean,
I'm not sure. I'm
mean,
not actually, because I don't know how these things work.
Yeah.
No, I'm not even going to pretend on it. Like, I'm guessing that there's something they can go back and they put in certain terms, and then it generates and plots what was going on certain websites. But that's probably the extent of my knowledge, really.
Because it sounds like Lively, or it sounds like maybe Leslie Sloan is doing social media monitoring and sentiment monitoring, kind of similar to what Jed Wallace may be doing, or Tag.
I'm sure they were monitoring Lively's social media. That she has a team for that,
right?
So she'll have PR. She's got PR. So that's what's being said here is, like, Jen Abel and Wayfarer are saying, well, no, this is all normal PR. What we were doing was nothing that was not part of normal PR. Lively is saying, no, you were smearing me.
Right.
And it's gonna be really hard for Lively to prove that. I haven't seen any evidence of it at all. And the fact that she keeps changing the goalposts as well in terms of the dates, Brian Friedman's statements, and then she kind of admitted in her Rule 56.1 response that, she found them to be part of the smear campaign, but what he was saying was actually just true statements.
Right.
It was pointing to her. So she's pointing to past videos where she has actually said or done things, and then saying, well, the fact that they're being referenced is defamation. Well, that's just silly, isn't it?
Yeah, I clearly think that the party that defamed the other party was clearly Blake Lively, and they were doing that probably since the beginning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, and don't forget, there was a backlash to Blake Lively even being announced as Lily Bloom, which was back in 2022.
And she was aware of that.
Yeah, of
because
course she was aware of that.
she asked Colleen Hoover to defend her honor and
So
Justin Baldoni.
I did a video on Colleen Hoover, and I theorized myself that there was there was already a backlash to Colleen Hoover, and I kind of feel that Colleen Hoover wanted Blake Lively to market the book in the way that Blake Lively did, because that's how Colleen Hoover attempted it. But when Colleen Hoover attempted it, there was a huge backlash. The colouring book, the nail polish, the romanticizing of domestic violence. And then Blake Lively had another go at it, right? And I think Colleen Hoover was actually supportive of that angle because she wanted to do it herself. And she just basically sat back and let Blake Lively take the hit. But it was Colleen Hoover fans, these kind of book talk fans who didn't like Blake Lively being cast, thought she was too old, etc., and just not a good actress. They didn't like, the lack of talk of domestic violence. They didn't like alcohol and hair care products being attached to it. And that's basically what happened. It was all too kind of Barbie-ish, I guess, is the
gimmicky.
Yeah, it was too gimmicky and catchphrasy and crap, and people did not like that at all. But they did. But this quote unquote smear campaign was going on long before any allegations of domestic violence. Well, I keep saying domestic violence. Any allegations of sexual harassment, but by Blake Lively, because you had a huge backlash just to Blake Lively being cast as Lily Bloom, and that was months before the first alleged sexual harassment. Because we didn't hear about this whole circumcision talk either. That was never in any of her complaints or CRD.
No.
Now suddenly that's a problem, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly, because just Nathan's asked, would she have been prepared by the Wayfarer lawyers? Possibly. I don't know, because she was unwell the week before, so I'm not sure. No, often they are. There's some kind of preparation, but I don't know. I couldn't say with certainty.
Like a mock cross-examination session or something?
No, I don't know. More probably around the right. Let me object before you answer. If I instruct you not to answer, don't answer. Wayfarer couldn't have really prepared her on what to say, if they could have at all. They could have just, it would have been like like, I'll ask you some questions, now you answer, kind of thing. Christy's asking, at these expert depositions, how do attorneys know what to ask? That is going to be based on, so they will have had Blake Lively's expert first. She would have compiled, that expert would have done a report. That report and everything that goes into the report would have been sent over to Wayfarer's expert, who would have then done a report in response. And they would have, there was a lot of, it sounds like repetitive questions, but it's laying foundations. So they need to get to like, okay, what is your background? What did you study at university? Have you ever done anything specifically on data analysis? Have you ever done anything specifically on AI? And then they would have built up and up and up and up. So some of that would have been, there would have been questions they had in their mind, like, the mistakes in the footnotes and various things, and in the authors. They would have had a note of that, and there would have been questions around that specifically. Some of the questions would have been, something that naturally you get to as a result of whatever she says. So there would have been a mixture. Assuming that they don't know much, like AI and bots, they probably know a little bit more than you think, not because they're experts in it, but just because they may well have dealt with digital defamation and smear campaigns. They would have dealt with other experts, if that makes sense. They would have had their own experts report as well.
I was just going
to say, go on. Yeah, go on.
Is that why Dina how do you say her name?
Maislin.
Maislin. Is that why she was present at Nicole Alexander's deposition?
Yes.
Okay. So is she kind of being used to be like, hey, am I asking the right questions? Are we getting answers that are appropriate? Is she kind of like the
No, they're allowed to be at each other's depositions. So Nicole Alexander could have, because Maislin would have been deposed as well. So Nicole Alexander probably would have been at her deposition.
Oh,
Yeah, they can sit and they can observe that because, you know, we saw it with again Dr. Curry in the Depp trial, where even after they had both done their testimony, she was able to sit and watch and continue watching the trial, and then she was called for further testimony further on. And then she was asked about you saw what you know, you heard what so and so said, Dr. Spiegel. I don't know, you know, but you heard the testimony from this person, you know, and then she would have been asked questions on that testimony. It's different. Witnesses are treated different to experts.
Oh, okay. And then I had another question, just real fast, because I'm on this last page or page 4 of the deposition, and I had noticed that the 17-point agreement lawyer, the lawyer who wrote that, is present in this deposition. She was also present for Lively's deposition, and she was also present for Joneswork's deposition, but she wasn't present for any other depositions. Is that significant, or am I just like...
I don't think it is. She's entitled to be part of that because I've no doubt she was probably there would be something from her as well, because there will be a back and forth about how the 17-point agreement was reached. So I mean, they're entitled to have. She's still Lively's attorney, and she was still part of the, you know, the attorney that represented Lively at the time that she signed on to the film and negotiated her contracts and her riders. So she's entitled to be there as one of Lively's attorneys. I don't think there's much in that myself.
Okay.
I can't see any reason why that would be something significant, personally.
Okay, because I would have expected to see that lawyer show up for like Justin Baldoni's deposition or Jamie Heath's deposition. So I thought it was like...
so.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't have, because there's time. It's time and money for a start. But I mean, she doesn't need to hear a lot. You know, like Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath had 14 hours, I believe, of depositions each. I don't see why that lawyer would need to be present for that myself. Because Justin Baldoni wasn't even part of the 17-point agreement, really. He was not the one who agreed to anything, and it was not sent back and forth. But also with Jamie Heath, he was just the person at Wayfarer. I don't know. They may have been formally representing Lively in some capacity somehow, because they were her attorneys when she negotiated the contract and the riders. So there may be something like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, to be honest, why she was there. I just don't think it's a big part of the... I don't think it's a big deal myself.
Okay.
Do the experts give them questions to rebut? Give who questions to?
Oh, like the experts.
Oh no, the experts don't speak to the attorneys. No, the experts don't speak to the attorneys and say, "Hey, ask this." No, they don't do that.
Oh, that kind of seems like it would have been nice.
Does this deposition matter for when it goes to trial? She might be more prepared by then. It could come and bite her on the bum. It could. These specific questions, like I say, there may be further on in the deposition where things went really, really well, and she pulled out a solid performance, and, you know, it's just like teething problems for the first couple of hours. I'm really open to that. I'm hoping that's how it goes. The trial is going to be more important, but if she says something different to what she said at deposition, then they will just pull up her deposition whether it be the video clip or the deposition transcript, and say, they'll take her to the line and say, can you see that you said this? They do it. They did it a lot to Amber Heard. So I keep referring to that because that's obviously the best visual ever. We all watched the trial, so we saw how much, like Dr. Spiegel, one of the Heard experts, sure we all remember him quite famously. He was, they took him to his deposition to ask him why he called Johnny Depp an idiot. So it's stuff like that is where what she says in deposition could be an issue. But I think the more important thing is how she performs in trial, in front of the jury, in front of the judge. I'm just looking.
Yeah, I don't know how she's gonna do in front of a jury or judge. I just
I will have to look at Bocce's videos. I haven't seen that. Christy, you're more than welcome, sweetie. Claudia, I really hope Blake's chocolate cake recipe. Yeah, that would be the dream. I mean, like I say, I'm at the moment, I'm a bit, like yesterday I finished the video and I was like, oh, I don't like how this is going. It's not a good look. I'm not discrediting the expert at all, far from it, because I haven't seen enough of them talking about, their actual specialism, their report. I haven't seen the other side's report either to compare. So there's not enough information for me to say, oh my God, this is like, a disaster. We don't know that. But the first couple of hours did not appear to go well in terms of deposition etiquette. More about, yes, there's problems with the report and there's, quite a lot of mistakes, which is a big no-no. In the legal world, it's not a good look in the legal world either. A comma in the wrong place can change the entire meaning of a document.
Right.
So, it's a big thing, but also it just does tell me that you haven't taken the time to proofread this. And when you're being paid, well, she's been paid about $90,000, but she's actually billed for a lot more, So when you're being paid those sums of money, you take time to read these reports and, make sure it's all right and there's no mistakes.
Would Wayfarer's lawyers talk to Nicole Alexander after the deposition and give her some feedback? Like,
I'm sure Wayfarer's lawyers had a conversation with her after that deposition.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have said, but I have no doubt that they would have been like, yeah, well, that didn't go so well, did it? Because they're paying for this. So it's like anything else. If you get a service and you think, oh, that's not good. Because they had a break, didn't they? They had a break. There was a big fight over a break. And where Meryl was like, oh, no, I'm still asking a question. And actually, she wasn't asking a question. Right. They went off and had a break. And I'm sure that Fritz probably said, this isn't looking good. You need to kind of, get it together, get a grip.
Yeah, no, and I kind of was expecting a little bit of a show. I just didn't think that there'd be so many holes that was pointed out.
Yeah.
Which is,
I mean, we're at the very start though. We're talking about literally just her the credentials. I'm not too worried about because I accept, you don't have to have a degree in it. I mean, it's good to have a degree in your subject, but you don't have to have a degree in it. If you've got 25 plus years of experience, which I think she has, then that is, pretty good. And sometimes it's the best way to learn is by actually doing the job. It's obviously helpful to have a degree and the experience, because I don't know what, I haven't looked into Lively's expert, so I can't really compare. But yeah, the qualifications itself, I'm not worried about. for me, it is that the report had a lot of mistakes. It's not even the AI bit of it because, like everyone says, it's not really reliable. So the Lively side is saying, well, this AI detector said that this paragraph in your report was 100% AI, but then another one says 75%. Okay, so why is that one saying 25% difference? That's
Right.
how I would pull that apart then. That's how Wayfarer, I think, would need to get on top of that. Well, hold on a minute. You've got two different AI detecting softwares, and they're given two, they're both saying high probability of AI, which in itself sounds terrible, but also they're given two different numbers. Why are they not both saying the same thing?
Right.
And that's how you start to rebut that kind of allegation. Say, well, hold on, Matt. Actually, where show me some evidence that these can be relied upon. This is like lie detector tests. In the UK, we don't accept lie detectors as evidence. We don't accept it because there are discrepancies. There are a lot of factors that affect the outcome, so you can't say, oh, these are accurate to any particular standard.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the best argument for Wayfarer in the unpredictability of AI. And I am just hoping that they place their witnesses really strategically. And by the time that we get to at least Lively's experts, that we'll be so tired of all the misstatements and everything else that the experts may not even matter in changing our minds.
I mean, I still don't think it's going to change our minds, though. Like I said, like when at the start of this video, the one thing I made really clear is, even if this goes badly, even if turns out she wrote her entire report with AI, right? She's not actually an expert at all. It still does not prove Blake Lively was either sexually harassed or smeared. It does not prove those things. And actually, the report that we've got, which is on the screen now, which kind of almost really disproves the smear campaign, that is still there. So I'm not worried at all. Like, it happens sometimes. You end up with an expert that is not what their CV says they're not.
Yeah.
Just Sneaping saying, if they bring up the deposition that she said this and that, which is different to what she said in trial, could she say she wasn't prepared back then and was ill? No, I think she's waived that right by saying I'm okay and I'm fit. And it's like when you go to an exam, if you are not well enough to take the exam, you are expected to say that at the start, not attempt the exam and then try to say later when you fail, I didn't do so good because I wasn't feeling well. So I think the same thing applies with the deposition, really. And that's why she was asked, one of the first questions was, you weren't well last week. Are you feeling better? Are you well enough to be sat here at this deposition? And by saying, yes, I'm better and I'm fine and, I'm happy to carry on, she's effectively waived her right to say, my illness, I wasn't up to, I was ill. So that's why I, struggled. And I think that answers your. She was ill during her original deposition date. So this deposition was done on the 15th of December. Her original date was scheduled for the 11th, which was the day. Was it the 10th or the 11th? Which was, I think the close of the expert deposition was the 12th, Friday the 12th. The actual deposition, this one, ended up being done on the Monday the 15th. The court had already agreed an extension to do it on this date. So, but she confirmed that she was fit and well enough and that she'd recovered from her whatever illness she had. So, no one asked for an extension. There was no need.
Do you think Judge Lyman is done with the extensions?
Probably. I think he's, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know what's going on in his head. I know he wants to he wants to get these the unsealing stuff all sorted out before the hearing on the 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
So because obviously I think that's gonna be, it's not gonna be like on telephone or anything like that, but it's an in court appearance. So members of the public can go if they're in New York. And because potentially members of the public could turn up, he will want anything that can be unsealed.
Yeah.
I agree with you, substitution. I agree with you. She's a professor, teacher, AI slash developer. Yeah. No, I'm not disputing. Absolutely, she is very intelligent. She does strike me as that as well. I think there may have been a multitude of factors that went into why this went wrong. But the mistakes that she made in the report with citations that shouldn't have been in there, authors that being cited on papers that they weren't actually part of. I think even as intelligent as she is, I still think that's a mistake that was avoidable. I'm trying to be polite here to her. I'm not knocking her at all, but there's no doubt that she made those mistakes. She admitted them in the deposition.
Mm-hmm.
And when asked why are they still in there? Why did you make the mistake? Like, her response was, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not a good look. No matter how much I want to see it from a pro Wayfarer perspective, and I do, but it's still not a good look for an expert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she didn't have a choice. No, they didn't seek an extension because she did say that she was up to being there, and it is for her to say I'm not well enough to be there, because I think Lyman would have granted an extension. Almost any judge would grant an extension if the witness is too unwell and they have to have a deposition at a later date. Then they will usually grant that, because the trial is now being pushed back, so it's not for another 6 months nearly.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have done this deposition, like given her another week or 2 weeks, quite easily. If she was unwell, she probably would have had to get some kind of doctor's note or something to verify that. But it's always better to say I'm not feeling up to being there, because this is, you've got to be of sound mind, sound body. This is a formal legal proceeding, so you can't just rock up, power through, and then say later, yeah, I gave a bad performance because I was unwell.
Yeah. I don't think Wiley's team would never have let that fly.
No. I don't see that, like, even Lively, as unreasonable as she is, she probably, even if she'd pushed back and said no, like, because the first extension was a joint stipulation, so they all agreed it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Wayfarer had said, look, she's still not well, I need a further extension, because it's out of Wayfarer's control. This is not in Wayfarer's control at all. Even if Lively had been completely unreasonable and said no, they would have taken it to Judge Lyman. I can't see, even as lively, leaning, and biased as I think Judge Lyman is, I still can't see a way where he would have been unreasonable and made someone who was sick sit for a deposition. It wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Well, at least, yeah. I don't think that Lively is going to be able to overcome anything in her complaint. I think, and I'm really surprised that she's lasted this long without, I don't know, giving up or blaming Ryan or something, because her credibility is just shot.
Well, she blamed everyone else, to be fair, hasn't she? She blamed Friedman, then she blamed the other lawyers. Then at one point she blamed Stephanie Jones. She blamed a bunch of us content creators. So she blamed the media at various points. So everyone else has had the blame. She's not going to blame Ryan, because I think behind the scenes, I think it's Ryan Reynolds that's actually driving a lot of this.
You know, if she pulled the "my husband is crazy" card, she could have turned this around a lot earlier, and I think she could have gotten away with a lot more.
I think people would have believed her.
Yeah, if she, like, even if after like the unedited video came out, I think that would have been the point to been like, hey, my marriage with Ryan Reynolds is crazy. I'm traumatized. He yells at me. He yells at me in front of my friends. He yelled at me in front of Taylor Swift. He yelled at me in front of Hugh Jackman. He's forcing me to go through this movie. I'm unhappy. She had an early out, and I think she probably should have taken it, if that's what was the truth. And and the way that they just keep going, I'm amazed. And I kind of want to ask you, you can't go to a lawyer and like lie about your case. Like if I were to go to you and say, Leanne, I need you to be my lawyer. I illegally obtained these records from Stephanie Jones. Can you help me? Like she can't legally do that, right? Like she can't.
Well, I haven't looked into it for America, but in the UK, yes, you could.
Just
You can
totally
do that.
like,
I could go to someone could come to me and say, right, Leanne, can you represent me, please? I murdered someone. However, I want to plead not guilty, and I need you to represent that. I cannot divulge that they've admitted to me that, you know, they've already pleaded guilty. They admitted they did it. They even told me how they did it and where the murder weapon is. I can't divulge that information. That's client confidentiality, and it's the most paramount rule in law. What I can do is I can decline to represent, but that's a choice then as well. You know, not every solicitor or barrister takes that choice. Sometimes they will continue to represent.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that her lawyers would continue to represent her after. I mean, we've poked holes through all of her incidences that this isn't true, this isn't true, this is not what happened, you know, and her lawyers are like seemingly sticking with her. And I just feel like I don't know. I guess I just have a lot of questions about the lawyers' ethics and moralities in all of this, and how.
I mean, they're just representing their client. You know, at the end of the day, like, you know, everyone is entitled to fair representation. It's a fundamental right, you know, whether, you know, especially like in criminal law, you're entitled to be legal representation, and it can't be, you know, they can't give you second rate representation just because they don't like you or because you're accused of something, you know, horrific. They have to fairly represent you, and in this case it's obviously civil. So the legal burden is much lower. It's, you know, on the balance of probabilities as opposed to beyond reasonable doubt. So the bar is much lower. So they need to, in their mind, they just need to convince the jury enough that it's likely, more than likely, that she was sexually harassed and smeared, etc., etc. You know, and all the various things. Her contract was breached, and she was defamed, and all the other claims. This is a client that's worth a lot of money. So
Her husband is worth a lot of money. I don't think like Lively's worth a lick.
But she's a millionaire in her own right. Even if we take Ryan Reynolds out of it, she is a millionaire in her own right. Yeah, a lot less of a millionaire than he is, but someone is paying her legal fees, even if she's not, and that is clearly going to be her husband. So they're going to keep going because, I mean, look at the subpoenas they sent out, right? There's 107 content creators were indirectly subpoenaed. Multiple people we were contacted. They tried to arrange Zoom meetings. They sent me 4 emails just to tell me not to record the Zoom meeting. every email is being billed. These
Mm.
are all billable items. So, and you think of all of the subpoena requests, all of the stuff they have to go in through, all of the motions to compel, all of the sanctions. There's like 10 sanctions motions. There's the motions to dismiss. There's all the deposition time. She had what, 8 lawyers with her for the deposition.
Yes.
They're all being billed like hundreds of dollars an hour. In Ezra Hudson's case, is probably hitting the $1,200 mark, and everything they do is just generating more and more money. So she is worth a fortune, win or lose. She's still, those bills are still going to be paid, and if they get the Section 47.1 remedies as well, that's triple this, triple that. They will no doubt get a big chunk of some of that. Some like attorneys have, like they have a percentage of any damages or awards.
Oh yeah, it's like, isn't it like 30% or something?
Yeah, like a contingency fee,
Yeah.
So there are a multitude, I hate saying that word, but there are a multitude of factors that go into this. And they will be quite happily, I think, representing her, regardless of what they think of her case. But also, the lawyers are trained to argue the same thing in 8 different ways. I've said this like on so many of my videos. I'm trying to think of a good example. So New York Times, they were talking about Megan Twohey, and they kind of spoke about as in like in their motion to dismiss, it was like Megan Twohey, a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, and they were like, they were referencing that as in well, she's so good and she's prestigious and she's won this award, she wouldn't make this mistake kind of thing. But then when Wayfarer responded, they were like, yeah, Megan Twohey, a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. And it was almost like there was an air of condescension, like she should know better, she's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. And the same argument was just, the same sentence almost was being used in 2 very different ways by, 2 different law firms, depending on what they're arguing.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of what goes into years of studying and training and then practice as well, and it becomes quite an art.
Yeah, this is all, to me, it's an art of warfare.
Yeah. I mean, to go back to this deposition witness though, right? Nicole Alexander, the one strength I think she's got, and this may hopefully cover just Snoopin's question here. I think, one of the things that goes as there's been flagged as a big problem for, this backlash against Blake Lively was the marketing, and her experience and her, kind of degree in particular are, they particularly focus on marketing. And I wonder if further on we are going to hear from that element, because I think could be powerful if she can say, no, marketing that she put out for this film, definitely, she's able to say in her technical terms, which I cannot do, and I'm not even going to try, but if she can say in her technical terms, back it up with sources as well, that that Blake Lively trying to market alcohol in the context of a film that is about domestic violence, that is partnered with a domestic violence charity, is what was, at least if she can even say if it's just a significant contribution to the backlash, then I think that's going to be a powerful statement. I think it's going to be hard for Gawensky to then to say, you don't know what you're talking about, which, is kind of what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's where we're going to see the strength come in further on.
Yeah, I wonder, and I also wonder if they're going to utilize Blake Lively's attempt to pivot from the marketing plan, because she was stuck on her, love story, flowers. Look, let me put some flowers in this beautiful Betty Boo's glass or cup or tin. Which I thought was crazy. But for her beverage sales, I'm sure they went up during the marketing period time, because I'm sure it went up only because of collaborations and people, and companies buying her products to do a collaboration. But I wonder if Wayfair, or if maybe even a marketing expert, would be like, yeah, even Blake Lively, she accused Wayfair of pivoting off of the marketing plan, but in the end, Blake Lively goes and pulls the playbook from Wayfair's marketing plan. Oh, I'm going to be a DV supporter now. Let me put up some posts and things and, advocate a little bit later than everybody else did. And I wonder if they're going to like say, hey, you pivoted from your marketing plan too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. Yeah. That's what I'm that's why I'm hoping so myself. I really am. Claudia's saying, oh, Nag mentioned in a video that Ezra's experience when it comes to SH claims are on defense. Oh, okay. So her being on the plaintiff side on this is sort of weird to me in terms of expertise. So I don't, yes, I agree. She will be probably more at home on a defense side. She will still be trained to, to work on the plaintiff side. I have no doubt. I will say this for Ezra Hudson. I do not like the woman, and it's personal. but just think about this, right? If Wayfarer this was not part of a film where there was so much video footage, if there were not text messages and then, like the conversations between Wayfarer in real time making contemporaneous notes and, the little receipts here and there, I think we would be looking at a very different case here, because it would be believable. Blake Lively's claims would potentially be believable, right? But there would be nothing there to support the fact that it wasn't true.
Right. You know what? Her claims would have been believable if the unedited video was released without audio. It would have been a Team Lively point.
Yeah, definitely. It would have. And like that, and that's the worrying bit. That is the worrying bit for me. Is, we thank God they had all of that stuff, because everyone did, nearly everyone believed Blake Lively until Wayfarer actually come back and said, well, no, this happened, and no, this is what happened. But they had all these receipts for them as well. And then we started to get the raw footage, and we're like, hold on a minute, that doesn't line up. Well, when one thing or two things, don't line up, it calls everything else into question. And that is what happened. And then we're seeing still no evidence, but even we don't really need her to bring evidence. We would have seen it by now anyway, but the evidence we've got from Wayfarer has made the people who believe Wayfarer very strong in their convictions, and rightly so, because they are being transparent and they are happy to show everything and not hold anything back and let the public make a decision. And what they're saying, it matches up. It matches up with what is being put forward. Whereas we're seeing nothing from Blake Lively at all. We're getting a lot of smoke and mirrors. We're seeing things being misrepresented again, back to the content creator subpoena and the, oh no, we got everything. We had a meet confirmed, we got everything. But the people she was talking about and referencing in that letter specifically, including myself, never met and conferred and never gave her anything. And neither did the other 4 people. And I know that firsthand. So that was a lie, and we've been having that, like with the Claire Ayu recording as well. Like, it was portrayed as this horrific threat to her life, which put her in fear. Clearly not. Because when we listened to it, it was the softest, fluffiest threat I've ever heard in my life.
I think she was in fear because it was a lie.
Probably. I mean, if you look at her CRD and her first amended complaint, You know, and at the end of both of them, she talks about the devastating mental trauma. She could not leave her home. She could not even get out of bed most days. It affected her husband's mental health. It affected her children forever. You know, it's
Mhm.
changed them. It's left them scarred. Like, and I'm sitting there scratching my. At the time, I was sitting scratching my head, going, "What? What? What has been so traumatic that you know you've not been able to leave the house, but yet you've been able to go to Capri to film a movie. You've been able
Right.
to go to Taylor Swift concerts.
Right.
You were at SNL.
Mhm.
You know,
And
you went to Texas to do the wacko thing with the promotion of another simple favor. How are you? Is this you not leaving your bed?
right. Yeah, she looked calm. She looked collected. She was put together. She's her own stylist. She went on, she got dressed up. She did her hair. She was able to take a shower. She's obviously eating. Well, maybe not so much eating. She's lost a lot of weight, but
But
she
she'd had a
looked put
baby, though.
together.
You know, put it into context. She'd had a baby.
That is true.
She has just kept herself fit and healthy, which is
Hmm.
what she normally does after having children, which, a lot of women try to do.
Yes.
You know, but she just lost some, postpartum weight, I think, and got fit, which she was doing anyway. She got a personal trainer. Why would she not be able to do this? And I
Right.
think this is a great point by Rose as well. She believed Blake at first. Why would someone lie about this on a movie set in front of tons of people? Well, and that's a really good point. Why would she do that when there's tons of people who could then turn around and call her a liar? Why? Because her and her husband are currently, they're calling the shots. He's at the top of his game. Her on her own, maybe not, but he is.
Yeah,
And
Ryan Reynolds
well,
is at the top of his game. I have to admit.
yeah,
He's
at the
got like,
time, certainly he was at the top of his game. He was in one of the highest grossing films. He was a huge name. You know, you have people like Ari Emanuel who, we literally have the recording of him saying, "Yeah, yeah, I'd ride and die for them." And I think that she thought that she would be able to intimidate the crew and the cast into, supporting her and keeping silent, which some of the cast clearly did because they had
mhm.
incentives. But I think she forgot about what the raw footage would show.
Yeah.
I think she forgot about that. And she clearly didn't understand what was on all of it because as you said, the dance scene, she thought there would be no sound when there actually was, and that sound made all the difference.
And I
And it's
don't
just
think
been
she.
a series of, churning out evidence like that coming from Wayfarer and, completely like boots thing, and when she's talking about, to male crew members about her boots being sexy.
Mhm.
And yet one of the biggest parts of her complaint is he called my wardrobe sexy. And she's sitting there casually referring to her wardrobe as sexy. And at some point, someone is going to sit there and go, and wonder, what the hell are you talking about? How is this traumatic when you are doing it yourself?
It's like it's it's very it I just that whole sexy thing, it's comical when you see Jenny Slate in her see-through dresses
Oh my
shaking her
God, yeah.
bum. You
Being
see,
outraged because Wayfarer wanted to give her money to protect her son and,
yeah,
help her as a
like,
mother. I've
oh,
I've never heard, all the mothers that are seriously struggling to raise their children who don't have a high-paying acting job where, I mean, don't forget the first apartment she had was paid for by Wayfarer. They just paid more money to find her somewhere safer for her child because, I don't know, there was a balcony or was a window that was a bit of a hazard, for her
mhm.
toddler or her infant. And if someone had done something like that, a gesture like that for me, I wouldn't have given a shit what they said about it. You know, they could call me all the names under the sun,
Right?
refer to me as a mother because, oh, but what's so offensive? She is a mother. I do not get. It's like they're just trying to be outraged for the sake of being outraged, and it makes women look bad because that is bad behavior.
Yeah, and most mothers probably would have like childproofed the house or went through it first before they picked it.
Exactly.
Like, hey, there's a window, I need this and that. What did she like the view? And then she found one with the better view, and then I'm kind of wondering what went behind that. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I have 3 boys and they're insane and they can be climbing a wall, a tree, a refrigerator at any moment if you're not watching them. You know what I mean? And
No,
so
yeah, I do. Yeah.
you have to like go inspect the house to make sure that no one's going to fall out of anything. So why choose the apartment and then discover, oh, it's not safe? Did you not do
Exactly. And
any due diligence before?
Wayfarer were not obligated to do anything. Let's remember that. You know, she
Right.
had her allowance, she picked her apartment. They didn't actually have to do anything to help her.
Right. Do you think that was a Blake Lively thing? Like Blake Lively got in her ear?
No, I don't think so.
Mm.
I've seen no evidence for it. So I'm not inclined to say, oh yeah, probably. It may have been, but I haven't seen anything that suggests it. I think Jenny Slate is a controversial enough person that she didn't need Blake Lively to lead her into more controversy.
I think Jenny Slate is just really seems just really entitled.
She
Like
is, yeah.
more entitled than what maybe I was expecting from a star of her caliber. Not to say that she's not a great actress, but like I could see why maybe Ryan Reynolds would act the way that he does, like, don't touch me, blah, 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 don't use my image, blah, blah, blah. But Jenny Slate, I've never even heard of her before.
I've
And
seen her in one episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I think.
oh,
I
really?
haven't seen her in, yeah. She was in like one episode as like when
Oh, I need to see it.
Peralta's character was like, you know, undercover in as part of the mafia. She played one of the kind of mafia women type people. She wasn't in it for long. It was like, you know, blink and you miss it. But that's it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know of her even then. Like I wouldn't say, oh, I know of her. I didn't.
Yeah. Hang on just one second, my kiddos.
Jen, you're making a great point here. Yes, no one does say no to Ryan Reynolds. Um, I think definitely that was a pivotal point. Him refusing to sell the rights to the second movie and not accepting their letter to take responsibility. I think they were both big pivotal points for Blake Lively for sure. I'm just trying to see if there's any other questions. Oh, just found this. Sorry, just snooping. Did I? I don't know if I answered this, but I don't know if it's to prove that there was a smear campaign. I think it's. I think I'm not quite sure because I haven't got into the substance of this deposition, so I'm not sure. And the questions at the start of the deposition, where she was asked about why she was briefed to, you know, to be retained as an expert, you know, Fritz didn't let her answer, so we didn't actually get to hear what it is that she's retained for particularly. But it could go towards the smear campaign, although I think Haggerty's done a great job with his report as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it lends more to that there wasn't bot activity. It lends
Yeah.
more to that it was a public sentiment and not even a coordinated sentiment.
Yeah.
You know, which
Yeah.
is what they said all along, you know, and that's why I'm kind of hoping that.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we the public have said as well, it's not, we're not bots. You know, we publicly did not, you know, like in my motion to quash, I put in their chapter and verse of all the reasons why I did not like the way she marketed the film.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know Cassidy did, I know Lauren did, and I know Ashley did.
Mm-hmm.
So just from us alone, there is that. But I know there's a lot of, you know, I mean, like they tried to tie in Shusty's video and say, "Oh, that was part of the smear campaign." They've now had to walk that back and admit that, you know, Shusty was not in touch with Wayfarer's council. It was nothing. She was nothing to do with the smear campaign. So, and they've had to walk back a lot, really.
Yeah, I think Blake Lively's team has had to walk back, I think, everything that they've said. It seems like, you know, they just Yeah, I think Blake Lively's biggest issue isn't proving that there was a smear campaign. It's just going to be proving if she's telling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But it's got to meet the standard as well. She can't just say, well, I was uncomfortable. It's got to be, the legal standard is severe and pervasive. It's got to be about her gender. It's got to be, like a sexual nature. So there's a lot of stuff in, like, her 17-point list looks awful. Her 30-point list looks terrible. But a lot of it, when you just go through it, it's like COVID, religion, talking about dead father. Well, none of that is sexual harassment. You're just throwing it in now, just to, like, include the kitchen sink at this point.
Yeah, and a lot of that wasn't even asked about. Like, I wanted to
No.
know about the dead dad. Like, what was that about? I wanted to know about, is Justin Baldoni really going around saging people? Like, no one was asked about all of that stuff. Jamie Heath wasn't asked about the pornography. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, exactly. And well, that, that in itself, that was one of the first things, was like just sort of lump him in and say, well, he's got a porn addiction, when actually he's never had one.
Yep,
For
and was
me,
never questioned about it.
he wasn't questioned about it in his deposition, but it was actually something she said initially that turned out to be not true. And for me, the thing that got to me is the allegation that Adam Monshine was not an actor; he was just a mate. That literally took 20 seconds to debunk that, and there's no way she would not have known that.
Do you think that was why she had everybody wear name tags?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know why she did that, because that's not industry standard. When I spoke to, I think it was Mandy. Mandy's in this industry. That's not something that's kind of the norm. So I don't know why she did that. A control.
I was kind of wondering if, like, maybe she was with like an assistant like during the day, and she was like, write that guy's name down, write this down, write that down, and then they all go home and do whatever. Like, that's what I was kind of like thinking, that maybe they're doing something crazy, because that is crazy. Like, you know, taking notes and then going home and then figuring out what to use and what not to use, and then, you know, doing like
Yeah.
a setup. Like, I kind of feel like everything was like a setup. Like, have a pencil and paper ready and make sure you jot this down. Like, I really feel that maybe Ryan Reynolds had his own timeline that he was keeping for himself, or maybe Blake Lively did,
Yeah. That is quite possible. That's definitely possible. Chrissy, I'm not 100% sure how Jenny Slate involved Wayfarer. I think she would have probably brought it to their attention. That, or they, she spoke to maybe the person from Sony, and Giannetti, and they brought it to their attention. I don't think it's something Blake Lively did, because I think Jamie Heath spoke to Jenny Slate before he spoke to Blake Lively. So we're not quite sure, but I think they would have been approachable about that kind of thing anyway.
Yeah, I think she went to Jamie Heath directly. That's what it made it sound like.
Yeah, that's the impression I got in the deposition. I don't think I can't recall off the top of my head though whether that was like something that was expressly confirmed or not.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
I don't think that the question was asked in that way. I think it was, were you made aware of her concerns and her complaint, and it was, around, and then they talked about what he said, which was, they want to protect, mothers. They prioritize mothers. It was something so stupid that no one else would ever take personally, that she seemed to be really offended by, and I'm offended that she's offended. Do you know what I mean?
It was the sanctity of motherhood. He's like, I think he said, will do anything for the sanctity of motherhood or something like that. And I think she was offended.
She lost her mind. I don't get it. But you know, these guys, right? Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath talking in those terms. I think when you look at the bigger picture, both their wives, they have like businesses which are part of like, you know, pregnancy, childbirth, breastfeeding, you know, motherhood, everything that encompasses motherhood. So I'm not kind of like creeped out by them using those terms, you know?
Yeah, I don't mind. Like, I will take any assistance, any support, anything.
Yeah.
I don't care, man or woman. I mean, this is a race in life, and it really should be a relay race. And I think that's the problem here, is that everybody is just out for themselves. You know, everybody's grifting. Like, and that's what's driving me crazy. Everybody's grifting. It's Jenny Slate grifted for a better apartment. Blake Lively grifted for a movie. Colleen Hoover probably grifted for what? A sequel. Brandon Sklenar, he got what he wanted. Like,
Yeah, he grifted for a lot.
like it's the biggest ripoff in movie history. I feel like everybody got something except for Wayfarer Studios, who set out to benefit domestic violence and women, and everybody forgot that, and all they saw was money and their name and lights, and that's it. And Wayfarer was like, hey, they stuck with their mission, and in the end, I feel like their mission won out, because even Blake Lively had to deviate from her own marketing plan and be like, I support DV and victims, and ooh, here's some resources at the very last minute, and then immediately started trashing Justin Baldoni even harder than what it was before.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly say hi to Sharona, to Annie, and to Trish. Hi, guys. Annie, you're going to have to explain this. Who's the guy with the shiny lips and great eyebrows and his burner TikTok that had him shook? Which one was that?
Oh, is that Be Better?
Oh, the shiny lips and eyebrows. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know what is going on with him. Like every 2 minutes he's putting up a video like, oh, they're after me, but I don't know what is going on. I love that description. I was thinking of a Ken doll. I was like, who is that? Are we talking about prayers? What's going on? Yes, Be Better. Yeah, now I know I can see it now. I'm not sure what is going on with him. Yeah, exactly. He may have something, but it's just I keep seeing videos where he's like, I've got something, they're after me, and then the video gets taken down. And then he popped up again and says, I've got, you know, and then we were doing like this on this repeat cycle then of, yeah, I've got something. And then that video goes. But I don't know what it is he's got. If anyone finds out, I'd love to hear.
Well, he said it was something dark and whatever, and then that took off. And then I think the social media rumor was it's somehow in the realm of either human trafficking or maybe Epstein-ish or Weinstein-ish or something along that thread. And then they went into what is it, Zaggy? Is it Zaggy Investigates? Ziggy Investigates. Lizzie Investigates. Something, but she went into that thread.
Are we talking about Claire?
Yes, we are. Claire.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know. Yeah, Zazzy. Yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Okay. I mean, I'm curious to see. I've got an open mind, but if they're trying to connect Blake Lively with human trafficking or something of that nature, then I hope the evidence they've got for that is tight.
Yeah, they Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have I think it is a nonprofit that helps underprivileged
Yeah.
persons of color or of a diversity background get jobs into the entertainment industry. And there was some talk that maybe that might be not as great as it's being advertised.
Yeah.
But that rumor only lasted for a little bit and then it like faded away. But also at that same time, Lively was doing a lot of promoting of that nonprofit, you know, being a champion for, human trafficking survivors and advocating against whatever. Um, and then it just died down and I didn't hear anything about it afterwards.
I mean, if Be Better's got something, then hopefully he will kind of share that. You know, I mean, there's enough content creators, that he could. His videos. I don't believe his videos are being taken down on YouTube. So I don't understand why he keeps posting on TikTok, knowing they're getting taken down. Like, why he's got a YouTube channel? Just use that.
Oh, I didn't even know he had a YouTube channel
Yeah, he's
because
got a
all he
YouTube
talked
channel.
about was TikTok. So I was like, oh my God, TikTok is horrible. I didn't even know he had a YouTube.
Yeah, he's got a YouTube channel from the first time they tried to take him down, which was, I think, back in January or February.
Oh.
Yeah, he has said quite a few times, I think, now over the course of the year, that Blake Lively's after him. But he keeps posting to a platform he knows his videos are being removed from, as are other content creators, or they're either being removed or muted, like Not Actually Golden and Ashley. Some of their videos have been affected. So it's like, well, to me, like there's a couple of solutions to that. Is either use your YouTube account, which is not being affected, or go to some big content creators who will listen. There is, there's Lauren, there's Cassidy, there is Andy, there's, loads of people. He's been in touch with Candace Owens before now. So, there are ways for him to get the information out if he wants to.
Yeah.
I think I'm a bit, I don't know what he's got, and I'd love to see it, but I am a bit skeptical of this kind of, because each video he puts up where there's you get this dramatic, they're after me, they're taking me down, blah blah blah. Like that video gets loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of views, and then it disappears.
Mm-hmm.
But then you come and do another video of the same thing instead of just putting the information out, in which it will get out to a lot of people before it's taken down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I if you got something, let's show the world. Just get it out there.
That's what I'm saying, but Blake Lively just likes to black everything out.
I completely agree with you, Annie. Yeah. What happened to little girl Tony? I sent her a message actually. Yeah, that was terrible. Sarah's done that to quite a few people. Doxing unfortunately has been a problem. Not just with Pro Lively, some Pro Bodoni too. We've seen Nat Actually Golden got doxed. We've seen I got doxed back in April, May by Without a Crystal Ball.
So, did you really?
I did. And then a couple of months later, someone else on X doxed one of my daughters.
Oh my goodness.
So it's yeah, so it's an occupational hazard, unfortunately. I think the one with little girl Tony, though, is just absolutely ridiculous, because the information they're kind of saying that she should have disclosed, she hasn't actually tried to hide. It's publicly available. I've seen it and read it myself. And the fact that she's not representing anyone, so she's entitled to talk about a lawsuit, even if she has been in the same room as any of the Wayfarer parties or their counsel, because they share a faith. That's just, it's ridiculous to say that that for that alone, that she is not, entitled to discuss this lawsuit. And I think it's terrible what they've done to her and her family. It shouldn't actually be happening. Yes, Sandy, Without a Crystal Ball has doxed many, 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 many people. Many people.
That is such a shame that she's
Yes.
doing it, because I really feel that sooner or later, all of that is going to come back against her. And she's got a medically fragile child in her house. You know, I don't agree with anybody doxing anybody, but especially someone with medically fragile child.
Well, when she did it to me, I have a medically fragile child too, who has a nasogastric tube and needs round the clock care. So, you know, I agree that she shouldn't be doing it, and yes, absolutely, her child should be the priority, but she should also be thinking about the people she's doing it to as well.
You're right about that, and I'm glad that you have the support. Yeah, that's just like the ugly side of this, and I don't know why people do that.
Oh yeah, no, it's been quite full on. It's been quite full on. It's definitely been a ride. We'll say that. Oh, autism. Yeah, she got us there. She's been particularly harsh to quite a few of the pro Baldoni. She's fallen out famously with Zach as well. What was it? I can't remember what she said. It was something about her being an awful mum or something to do with her being a parent to a child with autism. But Zach actually, his brother is autistic, and he's done a lot for autism. I think it was something to do with he's on good terms. I wouldn't say friendly, but I would say he was on good terms with RFK, and there was some kind of dispute over that. I don't know. I love Zach, and he wouldn't. I know he kind of ripped into her, and he was defending me in the process as well, which I am grateful to him for. But I know he wouldn't have said something if he didn't feel that he was in the right place to do so. I know she went after Andy. She was so Andy's obviously he was once falsely accused of sexual harassment himself. He's been quite open about that. But she's kind of currently portraying him as a predator and warning people they need to stay away from him. So yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, I just hate the way that these things played out, because at least from my vantage point, it seemed like everybody was really supportive of each other. And to hear that maybe there's one person who maybe seems vindictive or jealous or...
Oh no, there's multiple people, pro Baldoni as well, who are quite vindictive. I've learned along this way. I did forget actually. Without a Crystal Ball also attacked Ashley as well, and went after Ashley. So, but it's been a year. I can't just give all the heap all the praise on Without a Crystal Ball. There is definitely more than Without a Crystal Ball, and people are pointing to other content creators as well. I don't know too much about it, but I'm not going to sit and disagree with it. So yeah, Without a Crystal Ball, it's hard to explain, but there's a whole community that is dedicated to keeping tabs on the things Without a Crystal Ball says and does. She's been sued multiple times. She's currently being sued now. She has a history of falsely claiming men of like sexual harassment and sexual assaults. She was the one who doxed, I think. She was part of the doxing of Nag as well.
I did see.
Yeah, she was part of it.
On that.
It was her and Claire from Zazie Investigations. They doxed with Nag and brought out her name and made it public and everything. So yeah, there's been a number of people. It's just a long. It's 8 years of history. It'd be far too long to go into now. But there is a lot on X in particular. If you follow the account with _balls with a Z on the end, she does a fantastic job of actually keeping tabs on all the inconsistencies and lies and the false allegations, etc. from Without a Crystal Ball. And there's also Without a Crystal Ball versus Without a Crystal Ball. There's quite a few YouTube channels. So yeah, there's loads of information out there. People think that these people just hate on Katie Joy, but that they don't. They have actually been her victims at various times.
Yeah, I noticed that too. She just has a way of words with other people. And then what was it? I think like the last video or something, because I kind of stopped watching her so much. It was like she was saying, oh, I work better by myself. And, no, these content creators they're all banding together. And she just made it seem like she was the one ostracized from the group when maybe she had a hand in why that was. She played Darvo almost.
Yeah. So for me personally, I'm not going to go into the great detail because I'm still trying to keep my identity under wraps. That's something I still hold on to at the moment. But one of the things she did was because all of this happened around the time that she got a cease and desist letter from Stephanie Jones's lawyer.
Right.
I don't know if everyone remembers that. She actually accused me. She had people saying that happened because of me.
Ugh.
And when the thing is, right, is that sounds like it's not a big deal when it's something that fizzles out. No, but when she's got a barrage of people who are absolutely, they will go after someone at her allegations. That accusation was absolutely untrue. It did not happen. I've never had anything to do with her getting a cease and desist. I've never spoken to Stephanie Jones's lawyer ever, and I have no connections to them. And that would have been in the pipeline anyway, before. It was specifically actually because of a video that Katie Joy put up. It was anything to do with me. But she had a bunch of people. She told people, I don't think she did it on a video, but she made reference to that it was because of me that she got the cease and desist. And then I had so many people like coming in and attacking me, like publicly and in comments and messages, and it was just an absolutely awful time.
Yeah, and I saw that video, the Jones Works video. She was quite proud of herself for earning a cease and desist.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she made.
And in that video, she claimed it was all her, and it seemed like she had done all this work and uncovered like this great big giant secret, and people were trying to silence her. And Stephanie Jones wasn't going to ever silence her. And I didn't know the backstory. It just seemed like Blake Lively's team was attacking Katie Joy because Katie Joy was the one truth teller of everything, and it's ruining their case. That's how the video seemed when I watched it. Seemed to me like maybe Katie Joy was this big, I don't know, journalistic savior, kind of like what she did with how she talks about 7M and that whole controversy, like she's saving everybody with the truth.
Yeah, but no, it's not. I mean, I've looked at that lawsuit. I haven't got time to cover it in the depth I would like to, but I do keep tabs, and I kind of consult, shall we say, with Balls or with Southern Mutton, who is another YouTuber who covers her lawsuits on her YouTube channel. Well worth checking out. But you learn a lot I was surprised. Um, it is what it is. I did a whole post kind of calling her out and explained, with kind of the receipts and the screenshots why, she was just what she was doing was wrong, and so on and so forth. Again, it's months ago, but yeah, it's just been quite problematic. But it's definitely unfair to say that it's only been Without a Crystal Ball who's been problematic. It's
Yeah.
not, far from it. But I'm kind of, there've been other ones. That's why I've kind of stepped a little bit back, and I do my own thing. Sometimes I'll do a live with someone. There are some people who I was talking to at the start of this who I don't talk to anymore, and that's okay. We've just gone in separate directions. I'm content like that. I feel a bit more happier and in a bit more of a better place now.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, being a content creator, and I'm totally new at this, it's kind of stressful because you're putting everything out there, on the table. And, I don't know how much research that you do. I try to do as much research as I can in between, the wife that I have and the 3 kids that I have,
Yeah.
but reading court documents and trying to put it all together takes a lot of time, and the video editing. And then now we have to worry about, backlash or what's going to happen, doxing. Are we going to get cease and desist? And we're just
We get
reading,
subpoenaed.
or we're just reading court documents and trying to figure out what exactly the truth is.
I mean, it sounds funny when you say it, but like some of us genuinely got subpoenaed for bank account records and stuff
Yeah.
because we come and talked about this case. And me in particular, I was talking from my perspective as someone who's been through domestic violence myself and been through, the justice system. I was also speaking as someone who, understands the law and
Mm-hmm.
can read the law. So it was just like I was determined. I was talking about it from that vantage point. But there have been moments where I've thought, "Oh God, this is not worth it," all this headache and everything. But then I keep going back because actually, do you know what? I promised myself this is my thing. This is my first thing since I got out of my abusive marriage that I'm doing just for myself. And I'm not one of these people like content creators who's pushing for people to sign up to membership and things because that's not something I'm not like, I'm not pushing for stuff like that. I rarely do I ask, oh, can you like and subscribe even? It doesn't occur to me. I've just come, I'm reading my stuff or I might do a live and, I answer the questions in the comments. That's the one thing I make a point of doing every time is I will respond to any comment or question
Mm-hmm.
that is left because someone's taken the time to leave me something, and thankfully it's been almost entirely positive. I've had one or two, but I don't get the hate that I see other people, see my friends get. And if they've taken the time to write a question or just say a nice comment or even just an emoji, then I'll respond to that. That's my big thing. I think there's a bit of OCD about it, me as well. But if they've taken the time, then I can find the time too. The case has got like before I would be spending literally hours to do a thread on one filing. I don't have that time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I feel like there's probably people who kind of stabbed me in the back a little bit, who seem to have quite happily stepped into my shoes anyway. So they're doing their thing now. And I've come here where I don't even edit the videos. If I slip up on my words, I'll just sort of say, oh, sorry, and then, go back and re-say it. But I'm not going to sit for hours in editing a video.
Right.
Because there's something else some nights there can be over 20 filings coming down.
Yeah. It gets to be a lot. Like, I think I was trying to edit a 5-minute video. It took me 3 hours because the computer crashed.
Yeah.
or the web browser crashed, or StreamYard hates. I'm pretty sure StreamYard hates me with a passion. Um, and just to be transparent, I would love to be monetized, but I would also love to give that money away. And I've been in thankfully a position where I'm not monetized, but one of my videos hit like 1,000 views or something, and I took $100 and I donated it to um, equine therapy to sponsor a couple sessions for kids who are suffering from trauma who could benefit from some free therapy. You know,
Oh, that's nice.
so I would
That's
love to
good.
be monetized and raise awareness for organizations and donate to them and raise funds. And in my heart of hearts, I would love to like pay for every child who's experienced trauma. I would love to pay for like their therapy,
No,
because
that's a really nice cause. What
it's
is it?
something that, I mean, I've experienced trauma since I was a child. My
Yeah.
children have experienced trauma probably because of my trauma. My parents have experienced trauma since they were kids. And I'm just like, maybe we can't break this cycle because we don't have these expensive tools that we have
Mm,
to pay for. We don't, a lot of people don't have insurance, so they don't know what's available to them.
yeah.
And I don't know. So that's why I kind of started my channel, because I'm traumatized and I just want to bring a little bit more awareness. And thankfully to Blake Lively, um, I can kind of weave some of like personal experiences and whatnot like through this case, um, and have a constructive and intimate conversation with people. Like, I'm very grateful that you shared parts of your life story, and you know I'm kind of trauma bonded to you now. So
Yeah. Oh, bless. It's a good. That's good. That's fine. That's fine because is I made it my mission, kind of like, well, I wanted to help someone. I didn't know how to go about that, but I mean, I've done some stuff with Brett and Aco, and I kind of pitched in when some of my friends were subpoenaed. That was before I even got my subpoena, and I
mhm.
feel like if I walked away from all of this tomorrow, I've done something useful. And that's not including the metadata either. That's like I've actually come and helped some people with their stuff, their real life problems,
Yeah.
and I've made some lovely friends. Definitely, I've enjoyed it. It's hard though; it really does eat into your time, but
Mhm.
it's nice for me because I'm kind of dipping my toe back into areas where I lost my confidence. So, yeah, yeah, Annie's absolutely right. Um, there's a lot of people, and that's the thing with this case. There's a lot of people who are covering this. I know I've quite open talked about my abusive marriage and some of my experiences, and I did a whole video on it when I did my qualifications one, um, where I actually pulled up, on screen some of the text messages where he was being very controlling. And I always intended there was going to be a part two, but I just haven't been able to get to it because of stuff in my real life, with my little girl, because she's having surgery in 2 weeks. With
Aw.
this case and the pace that it's going at is just it's immense, and I'm trying to do other cases as well. So when this finishes, I have, I don't get pigeonholed just into the lively stuff. So I'm trying others to do other things as well. But at the same time, like there's a bit of a, I don't know, like for me, it's just hard. It's hard going back through stuff when you haven't looked at it for so long because it's so traumatic.
Yeah, a lot of this is like when I read some of these things like Ryan Reynolds, yelling and screaming,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I remember when my husband was yelling and screaming, and that felt horrible. How horrible are they for 5 hours? Like
Yeah.
there's, I don't want to say trigger words, but there's emotions and statements that affect me more than others. And a lot of it is coming from Justin Baldoni and how sensitive he is. And I really feel for Justin Baldoni because I really feel like he's the real SHSA victim. I will say
Yeah.
SA because I think some of the stuff could be SA, like you know, uh, the ball busting and whatnot. And, if you're going to say unwanted kissing was part of that, he didn't want to kiss her, but he did it anyways. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I guess I can see it. I see a lot of I see a lot of woundedness in Justin Baldoni, and it kind of parallels to my late husband. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of trauma. He's been
Yeah.
through some similar experiences that my late husband could relate to,
Yeah.
and it just brings me back to, oh, this happened, and, I felt this, and I get those emotions just reading from the docket or hearing Judge Lyman's crazy orders or other commentary. And I'm like, I'm going back in time and I'm reliving these traumatic experiences that I probably have compartmentalized for
Yeah.
decades that I didn't even realize I was doing. But then I hear or I read Ryan Reynolds is yelling at someone, and all of a sudden I'm back to 10 years ago, fearing for my life because there's a domestic violence situation going on and I have no control.
I was the same over the Jen Abel, the revelation that her phone was being monitored, because that's what happened with me
Oh my God. You
specifically.
know,
Like my phone, my ex husband had access to my phone remotely and everything on it, my banking app, my email accounts, my social media, all kinds of things, and just well everything, because every these days people put everything on their phone.
yeah,
And yeah, that was my moment where I was like, oh God, I can actually feel what she probably felt the moment she found out.
yeah, like I've been cyber stalked. So I've been cyber stalked by patients with dementia just because they liked me and they wanted to know more about me, and they were trying to get like private services, and they completely went around it like the wrong way. Um
Yeah.
to the point that I would go to their home for like an assignment, and then they would show me that they were trying to get in touch with me. And you see these web pages and they have like the number of views that you visited, and terrifying. Like this one patient loved me, but his love was just like, he dug, what did he do? He did a family tree, and he traced back like my family name back to like the 1600s, like back to like the Mayflower. Like it was
Mm.
really it sounded insane, right? Because you're like, oh my God, how can someone be so focused or maybe obsessed with you? Because that's how I felt, like just hyper focused on you. But then I learned, oh, that's just the way that he shows his love. But I've also been in um, positions when I was younger in a DV relationship where that person stalked me. Like he physically stalked me. Like I had to walk to work and it would
Yeah.
take me an hour to get there. He was following me. Like
Yeah.
he would tell me, yeah, I would sit on the bridge with my legs dangling over the edge, watching you walk to work. And I'm like,
Oh, that's horrible.
why would you? And I'm like thinking, why would you, one, watch me? Number two, why would you watch me sitting on a bridge over an overpass? Like, and that never stopped. Like, I did the Underground Railroad, you know, I was away. He started breaking into like my email accounts. So then I started, and this is really dumb. I told my parents that he was breaking into my email accounts. And this is really bad. But we all decided to make up a fake scenario where we
Mm.
planted something in the emails so that he knew that he would see them.
Yeah.
So what we did was, I think I sent an email to my stepmom, and we lived together, mind you. Sent an email and I said, "Hey, just a quick question. That garden shed that you wanted, Dad said he wanted a digging shovel and a no trespassing sign. Like we like made up this crazy non-existing scenario. We emailed it to each other. He found it, and I got like cussed out through email. Like, you're crazy, you're insane,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And I'm like, I am just trying to protect myself. Like, we're all living in fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But those are like the crazy thing, it didn't work. He still stalked me after that, but it slowed down. But, all of that's triggering. Like, I really think Ryan Reynolds bugged that apartment. Like, I feel he bugged that apartment when they had all of those meetings with Justin Baldoni.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that there's some secret recording of all of these conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope. Well, there are some. I'm hoping we'll find out a little bit more about that. I just, Charisma, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm assuming you're talking about my qualifications video. Um, yeah, I took that down in the end because, well, after about 3 months, because that was getting used against me as well. But thank you for watching it. I really appreciate it. Sandy, is it January 6th depot? I know January 5th is when we are due to have the responses for from Lively and the third parties about the reasons what they want sealed and why they want it sealed. I think Wayfarer then have till the 12th of January to respond. So because I know Judge Lyman wants to get this wrapped up as soon as possible so that he can, whatever needs to be unsealed can be unsealed in time for the hearing, the big hearing they've got on the 22nd, which is they're going to discuss the motion for summary judgment, the motion for judgment on the pleadings, the spoliation sanctions motion. I want to say there might be something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember. So I don't want to speculate. There's going to be a lot of issues are going to be addressed in that big conference.
Is it possible that he makes a ruling same day?
He could. I think it's a lot of issues though, so I don't know. But yeah, he could make a ruling, or he might take it under advisement and come back with a ruling, like a few days or a week or so later.
I hope it's quick.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be. I mean, I do want to know. I'm gutted that I'm not going to be there because I think we're going to have to rely on Matthew, who's going to be. I'm assuming he is going to be live tweeting what's happening because he's got he's like a court reporter. Like a journalist who listens to the hearings, and he's one of the few, if not the only, I can't remember if he's the only one or if he's one of only a very few number of journalists who are allowed to like tweet in real time what's going on in the hearing. But obviously he's not going to capture absolutely everything because he won't be able to. They'll be talking too fast. But yeah, it gives us I've watched him for a few things. It gives us a good insight into what's happening in real time as best possible until an order comes out or someone says something. I'm hoping that there is one other person who's possibly going to be going over. I'm not going to say who because that's for them to announce, but hopefully they will be going over as well, and then they'll come back and do a live stream.
Yeah, so that'll be nice because oh man,
there we go. People already know, right? Lauren, yes, I'm talking about Lauren. So Lauren has said that she is planning to try and go to New York to be at the hearing. So that would be amazing if she does.
Mm-hmm.
It will be open court. All sort of court hearings are open to the public. So yeah.
I
Okay.
wonder if it's gonna be a full house, like if they're gonna have to like line up days before.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. There might be other people going as well. I mean, because I know there's a few people that live kind of in that area or live or work in that area. There's Clark as well, who is the person who got hold of the Claire Ayub tapes.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be other people, but Lauren has said to me that she is trying to arrange getting there for this hearing. So that would be amazing if she does. And I will just wait for her to go and then I'll do a video based on whatever she does a video on. I think that's probably how I'll do it.
Yeah. And then I'll do a video on your video.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me actually. Clark would be first in line, I think. But oh, Annie, could you imagine it if the cameras were in?
I wish.
Amazing.
I wish. Oh my gosh.
That would make my life so much easier.
Oh,
it's like it's so hard from the UK to do this case because it's not just like the distance, it's the time zone difference as well.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I can't tell you how many things things in the US they probably come down like over the space of a few hours later on in your afternoon. I usually wake up to like a complete avalanche of violence. I'm like, oh, where do I even start?
Oh my God. Once you start on one, there's like 50 other ones. And then you're like, oh man, I just spent hours digging into this and I have to spend more hours digging into the next one. I don't know what to do.
God. So, I'm getting absolutely tired now, and we've been here. I thought this was going to be a quick hour. It never is. It never is for me, right?
No, I think we
we get comfortable.
Yes, we do.
We get comfortable, and then like we spend the first 45 minutes talking about what we actually come to talk about, and then we just slag off Blake Lively and talk about talk about things that matter to us, like domestic abuse and things like that. Because that's the important part of all of this is like not to lose sight of that and why some of us are here doing this case.
Oh, I totally agree. And I believe that the more DV awareness there is, the more I think I want to say comfort might be a bad word, but comfort or ease to have someone come forward and seek help. You know what I mean? Like if I knew when I was going through my own DV stuff that other people were going through similar things and it wasn't just me and I'm not crazy and I'm not losing friends because of my personality or whatever, it's actually an outside force. Or maybe if someone told me having your fiance go with you to college every day to make sure that you're safe is not a healthy behavior, I'd have been like, oh really?
No.
Or if someone said having your partner control all of your money and you have to ask permission to spend your own money on like clothing, food, feminine supplies, that's not healthy. Or even what was it? For an example, I was in the ER recently and I think I said, yeah, I'm separating from my husband because he yells too much and I feel really bad. And they're like, that's not normal. And I'm like, well, I just thought it was me. Like, I thought there was a problem with me because when he yells and slams things, I get really anxious and I get really scared because I'm afraid that he's going to hurt me or the house or the kids or the dog or something. And
Yeah, and you apologize.
Someone
You said you spend time apologizing for something, for his anger. Like, oh, I'm so sorry you feel like that. And you just say whatever you have to say. Yeah, I have been that. I understand completely where you are. And again, I thought it was normal. I did. Like, you know, I had, when I separated from my husband, well, just before I separated from my husband, I had never really heard gaslighting before, like, or had, had an example, like pointed out an example of it, of my own personal life. And it was just such an eye-opening moment. It really was. No, there are a lot of things that are not normal. This film was important for so many people who've been through stuff like that, like this, or even worse. And I don't think there will ever be a day in my life where I forgive Blake Lively for destroying it.
Yeah, I can't forgive her for her greed.
No.
I lost all respect for her when I found out that she was like the speaker at the, the human trafficking things. I was like, you can't even stand up there and say that, because you're taking away everybody's credibility, every
Yeah.
victim's credibility. You're stomping on, and you're exploiting it for your own greed, your own personal gain, which is the whole, I don't know, purpose, goal of exploiting people in human trafficking. It's
Yeah.
greed and selfishness. And she could have been selfish and she could have been greedy, but she could have also advocated and probably been way more successful at marketing this movie and getting what she wanted. But the way she did it was just,
I mean, she only had to say, reference it, and point people to the charity or to a helpline once or twice. It really isn't that complicated, but she just seemed completely. It's not that she just didn't say anything. Is when it was addressed in an interview in interviews with her, she just seemed completely, I don't know, disgusted. Found it funny, sarcastic. I mean, people want to know where, there's a smear campaign. Blake Lively was the smear campaign. She actually was. And on that thread, actually, just before anyone goes, I've got I'm trying to get into it actually, because I don't know if people are aware of this. Bear with me, I'm trying to get in. Oh, so many things I've got to log into. So I have a bit of a sense of humor, right? Or I try to anyway. I try to have a sense of humor. So I have I like to take a bit of inspiration. So if people have idea for my merch shop, because I've got my merch shop, and if people have ideas, I'm always like, oh, send them over, and I'll give them a little shout out or credit. This one is actually one of my own, right? But I have a new t-shirt range going out now, where we have a humorous take on smear campaign, and we have this t-shirt. Oh, what have I done? Right, oh, turned it around. We have a treasure map, a pirate's treasure map. The smirched seas, a pirate's map to ye smear campaign.
Oh my God, I love it.
I know, there's reference to everything. Timelines appear faster than gulls after chips. Metadata smells fishier than old cod. Crop screenshots, misleading maps. We have, everything in here. And it's just a bit of oh, I've turned it around again. There we go. It's just a bit of fun making, basically, of Blake Lively's smear campaign. So we have that going on now as well. What else do we have? We have like it comes in a vintage one as well. Like a vintage look map. and obviously there's a range of colors. But yeah, I just thought I'd take a moment there to share that. So if anyone's interested, please do check that out. And if anyone's got any suggestions for merch, please do put them in the comments as well, because there's been a few people actually who have put forward suggestions, and I put them onto merch and credited them for that as well, because I do like to do things with my community.
Oh, that's sweet. I can't wait to do merch.
Kerry says, before we both go, a huge thank you for shining a light on this case, Team Justin for Justice. Thank you so much, Kerry. And yes, absolutely. I think I will always be Team Justin. It would take something monumental, which I think if Lively had it, we would have seen it by now. I am not bracing myself for some big smoking gun at this point. It's been over a year.
Yeah, I think the big smoking gun lies more with Lively's camp than anything. I'm sure we're going to learn more mucked up stuff. I actually had a question.
Go.
All of the evidence that they're collecting, and even the evidence that's not made it to the docket, will they do like a evidence dump where we can see everything that was collected?
Yeah, so at the end, and this happened in the Depp case as well, so at the end of the trial, unless something is permanently sealed for some particular reason, everything will become publicly available.
So that means that there's stuff that's not on the docket that they have that they will put on the docket. Okay.
Oh yeah. What was on the docket now is stuff that is attached to particular filings. There will be so much more. I think it was Andrea Burkhart, when because she had to do she had to fundraise to get acts. So what she did is she kind of got the money together, got hold of all of the Depp exhibits, and then she posted them publicly. So people didn't have to, pay individually. People just contributed towards her kind of little whip around for her to get the all the documents and everything from the Depp file, and then she made them available to the public. Which was a really good way of doing it, which is something like I'd be happy to do at the end of all of this too. Or I'm sure there will be a few people who'd be quite happy to do it, and then we can get everything. But no, what we have seen on the docket is nothing. Is not even scratching the surface compared to what they've got. So what they've submitted what they've submitted is just served a purpose, and it's been attached to a particular filing. And when it comes to Blake Lively, we've still seen nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least we'll get to see. I would love to see Taylor Swift's text messages, but I would also really like to see Ryan Reynolds' text messages, because I think Ryan Reynolds is the component that is the malice piece. And it would be really interesting to see what Blake Lively told her husband. Like, if she told her husband, no, nothing happened on set, and then he was like, we'll just say that you were half naked on this table or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering if there's stuff like that we haven't seen, and I'm just dying for it.
We will. I'm looking forward to seeing what we see as well. Really, I am. Christy, thank you. She says thank you, Leanne and House of Chatter, which is really nice. Thank you.
Thank you,
Annie. Christy. Thank you, Annie. Yeah, she says thank you, everyone. Leanne, all the best for your daughters, Op and House of Chatter. You're not alone. Hugs, all. That's really sweet.
Oh, thank
Claudia,
you.
I'm on your time zone, Leanne. Oh, British, Irish. If you want to say, but that's amazing. Yeah, I usually catch up when I'm getting ready in the morning. Ironically, I usually catch up with this in the mornings as well, because that's when I find 10,000 things on the docket of like my notifications email. Kerry, little girl Tony says, unless they've introduced it, they cannot rely on it in court. That's true. So at trial, even what we see on the docket now that in court is that's a different thing. Like, they can introduce some of the stuff that's on the docket now, which they probably will. They can introduce other stuff that is not on the docket. What they will do is they will kind of lay a foundation and then, enter into evidence, exhibit, and they'll start labeling things then. We've seen that in the Depp Heard trial as well, where, they say Amber Heard would be shown a photo. Do you recognize this? Etc. etc. And then, they'd lay the foundation, and then they would, move then to enter into evidence and publish, said photo or document or whatever it was, and then that is entered into evidence. But yes, all the files can be made available to the public. I don't think that he will allow his stuff to remain sealed, because it goes against the public right of access, which is paramount. I don't think there's anything that Lyman can do to protect any of these people. He may want to. That's different, but I physically don't think there's anything that Lyman can do or say to defeat the law on this. Thank you so much, Roses. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm hoping everything goes well too. I'm getting nervous now, I'll be honest. Are texts between husband and wife allowed to be unsealed? Yes. Unless there is a compelling reason, and I'm famous is not enough of a reason, but unless there's a compelling reason why they shouldn't be unsealed, yes, they will be unsealed.
Could a reason be that they wouldn't want it unsealed is because it affects their businesses?
It would have to be something really strong. It couldn't just be a blanket, it'll affect my business. There will have to be something particularly. I can't even think of an exemption, because I'm not sure that even would apply. I think it gets unsealed.
Okay. Well,
unless it's like unless it's about the business and it's some kind of like a bit trade secret or something. That's different, maybe. But no, I think if they're just generally talking about, well, Betty Buzz didn't do so well this week, did it? Then no. Even if they're talking about some planning scenario, well, let's tap Betty Buzz onto the marketing. Well, let's manipulate Wayfarer into paying for it, because that's what happened. No, that would not be enough to get it to remain sealed.
Got it.
Yes, it happened with Kate Moss. If Amber Heard had shut her gob and not mentioned Kate Moss, there was a motion in limine that Kate Moss could not testify. And because Amber Heard stupidly, against the advice clearly of her counsel, brought up Kate Moss because she couldn't help herself, that was enough. Then Kate Moss then gets brought in as a rebuttal expert, because she has made an allegation that Johnny Depp kicked Kate Moss down the stairs. So Johnny Depp is entitled at that point to bring in a witness who can then rebut that allegation. And that's why we got Kate Moss, who had not been deposed or anything, had not sat for any of the stuff that we're seeing. So yes, you can get trial witnesses at the last minute. We saw it with the Morgan Knight. We saw it with Morgan Tremaine from TMZ. There were quite a few witnesses.
That also happened in the Depp trial too. They brought up that woman, that security guard from the airport.
Yes, yeah. She was actually the police officer. She wasn't. I think they said that she was a security guard from the airport, but she was actually the arresting officer who arrested Amber Heard.
Yeah,
it may have been security, but I know she was the one that actually, she arrested Amber Heard. Again, that wasn't going to come in until Amber Heard kind of denied it. So, what time is it here? Oh, it's 8:36 here now in the evening. So you're CST, you're an hour ahead of me. Untraceable smear, love it. Thank you so much, ladies. This was a great escape and so informative. You're welcome. Thank you. We really enjoyed it. Kerry, yes, only medical, financial, and trade secrets is exempted. I thought that's from the protective order. That is usually those kind of things will usually stay sealed. So yeah. Yes, we are 6 hours ahead of you, Christy. I would love to come to New York. I would really love to. I'd love to meet some of the content creators I've worked with as well in person. That would be really nice. I'll see, because I had kind of planned something for March when it was March, but then they moved it to May, so I'm not sure. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up. Is there anything you want to add or say?
I just want to thank your audience for having me and letting me into your group, and I really do appreciate these conversations. And one of the reasons why I do want to do so many collabs is because of the DV and some other things
Yeah.
that we've talked about. And I hope that we continue to do this. And I just want to thank your group and your community for all of their support.
Oh, I have a wonderful community. I will say that I do. I have such an amazing set of people who support me and watch my stuff, and I am eternally grateful to them for that. Khaleesi has just popped in. Hi, Khaleesi. Hey everyone. Hey Leanne. Hey Emmy. It's lovely to see you, Khaleesi. Oh, her procedure is on the 12th of January. So yeah, just getting a bit nervous now. She's so little. The last and I've out with my children. My children, I've only had one other child have surgery. She had a brain tumor removed, and honestly, I'm sure time stopped for the entire time she was in surgery. I was like, oh god. And when Nate was recently posting about his tumor surgery, oh, it took me right back. So yeah, it was amazing. Hey girlie, hi, it's lovely to see you. Thank you, Khaleesi. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Just Snooping. Always lovely to see you as well. Thank you. And Christy. Oh, it's been really nice. It's been really nice. I know that me and you, we were talking about because we got talking as well. I won't go into too much detail, but we were talking about doing something for suicide awareness. Do you still want to do that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. I'd love to share, my family's experience and what we kind of went through, and maybe even
Yeah.
the legal. I know we can't do too much on the legal side, but just what I've done as a civilian when
Yeah.
you come up with barriers on the legal side, because I did stuff that I didn't even know you could do, and that was because I think my civil attorney had told me about some of the stuff that I could do on my own versus going
Yeah.
through. But yeah, I would love to. Absolutely.
I
Anytime.
think that'd be really a nice thing to do because again, I won't go into too much detail because I do my usual. I'm saying goodbye, but then I'm like changing the subject. So just very briefly, both myself and Emmy, we both had family suicides, which were very, very, very public. And when we realized that we had this thing in common, we sort of floated the idea of maybe getting away from Lively and Wayfarer just for an hour or two and just talking about this experience and try and raise a little bit of awareness about mental health and suicide awareness. I try to do quite a bit of mental health. My husband's a mental health practitioner anyway, so where I can kind of talk about the mental health, I do. But I think this would need a standalone thing, like just to try and remind people, with everything that's going on in the world as well, you know, try and raise awareness towards people with suicidal thoughts and ideologies.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
No, it's
I've spent it's almost been the last 5 years in trying to raise awareness, at least with my sorry, I'm tearing up, at least with my family's situation. So Leanne, thank you for Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's all right.
Before my late husband passed away, I will say I did ask him if I could personally share his story, because we both agreed that what we both experienced going through mental
Mm,
health and all of the other splintery offshoot of things, he was like, yeah, I don't think I was really taken care of correct, just little things. And he's given me full permission to share his story. And I think it's really important,
yeah,
especially in light with the recent things that have gone on in the entertainment industry, and now there's more talk about mental health and schizophrenia, which I think is really important, because mental health doesn't just happen in adulthood. It can start in childhood. Like, I
yeah.
also work in healthcare. I worked in psych. I don't think I can do psych anymore, just
No.
from what I've known or experienced. When you bring your work home, it changes a lot of things. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I always say it, and I will probably say it forever. Like, my husband is just he inspires me. He really does. I thought a legal career was hard. I don't see. Well, I did a bit. That's why I left family law. But like I found it too hard seeing having to see things that was going on in the homes, the abuses and things. But he goes to work and sees it all the time, and I don't know how I couldn't. I can't leave my work at home, so I'm amazed by people all the time who work in mental health. It is one of the hardest,
it is.
thankless jobs, and the rate that they get attacked as well is, it's like no other profession really. There is a lot of assaults and attacks, and some people, are seriously hurt, or traumatized themselves,
Oh yeah.
who
Oh
work in this industry and face it every day.
yeah. I was in acute psych at the beginning of my career, um, as a supervisor. I have no idea why they did that, but
Yeah,
I just remember getting ready for work and expecting I'm probably going to get bitten today, kicked today, spit at,
yeah,
my eyes gouged out. There's a probably good chance. I mean,
yeah,
I've been cornered and almost threatened to be like strangled. Like, mental health, it's the, and not to be mean, but I feel like it's the red-headed stepchild of healthcare.
yeah,
Nobody wants to deal with it. It's an underserved population, but at the same time, it's probably the most difficult population that you have to work with, because it's not just medical. You can't just give somebody a pill and say, I hope your hallucinations go away. It's like, here is your pill, here is your schedule, here is the family support you're going to need, these are the community supports you're going to need, these are the resources you're going to need. It's, we can talk about hours and I know we're trying to get off here, but
yeah. No,
you know
we will do this video. We will do this video, and we'll do it some proper justice as well, because I think there is important. There is more to life than the lively Wayfarer case.
oh, of
And
course.
to be honest, it feeds in, that case does feed into this, because obviously with mental health, there's trauma. Some women who can't leave the relationships. Some women take their own lives, or some men who are falsely accused or abused themselves, they take their own lives. Sometimes it's the only way out they can see. So
Mhm.
I think in many ways the case does actually kind of feed into these themes anyway. But I think it's important to talk about it. So we said we were going to do that, so let's commit to doing that.
Oh, yeah, I'm game for it. And I think a lot of the backlash from the movie
Yeah,
does stem from the leaving and the safety of that whole thing, you know, because
Yeah.
in the movie, it was the breakup was beautiful. Like you couldn't ask for a more beautiful breakup in a DV relationship.
I know, right? I've had worse breakups in non-domestic violent relationships. I mean, what happened there? She
Right?
just walked off, like, you know, like he didn't try to, you know, what?
Yeah, like I was like, wait, you're not calling the cops? No one's like fighting over a baby. There's no cell phones being thrown on like roofs or boats or
No, it made no sense. It made no sense at all. Okay, we will do that. I will leave it there because we've been here for quite a while and I keep coming back, so I'm sorry about that. All right,
okay.
guys. We will I will continue with part 6, and if anyone's following my Macron Candace Owens, I have got a video. It's going to be uploaded at 4 p.m. Eastern, which is me reading Candace Owens's motion to dismiss.
Ooh, that should be good. I'll
Yeah.
tune in for that. And I'll probably do a live later today on, you know, just the couple deposition stuff that we went over. So if anybody wants to tune into my channel, come on over.
Yeah. I would be putting links to your channel, but like I haven't got a mod here. Where's Christina? To be fair,
think,
I didn't tell her. I didn't actually tell her I was doing this, so that's entirely on me. But
oh no,
yeah.
it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Go and yeah, you can check out House of Chatter's YouTube channel as well. If you just search, am I going to cover the new stuff with Candace? If we're talking about the Charlie Kirk thing, I don't know. She seems to be like well down a rabbit hole. I'm like it seems a bit. I don't know what I'm thinking about that, but I'm watching Ashley and Colonel Kurtz cover that. I am doing what am I doing? So I'm still covering the Ian Watkins, the Lost Prophet lead singer, his murder. There's not much going on there, but I'm covering that. I am covering the Candace Owens and Macron lawsuit. I'm meant to be covering the state of the UK and like all the politics and the people being, you know, imprisoned for tweets and stuff, but finding time to do that is really hard. And I will be covering Russell Brand. I'm aware that he's just been charged with he's added more charges of rape and sexual assault. So there's a lot going on there. I feel like I'm doing something else and I've forgotten what I'm doing.
Oh, the Russell Brand should be interesting too. I need to dig
I
into that.
know. Yeah, no, it should be interesting. I keep a very open mind on that, but yeah, there's quite a few things going on. But yeah, I'm finding that like for me, I don't know how I feel about Candace Owens. Like I've never been an avid follower or anything, but this thing with Charlie Kirk and her beliefs, I don't know how I feel about it. In all honesty, it just feels very out there. Feels very very bizarre some of the stuff she's saying. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see evidence as well.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure about Candace Owens, and all of it seems very confusing the way that she's presenting things.
Yeah, she talks fast, which doesn't help me, I think, a little bit because I struggle with hearing. So if someone's on screen, then I will try and lip read them, but she talks incredibly fast, and I do struggle to keep up with her. But I mean, I'm open minded though because I don't know. I don't know what is the truth of the stuff she talks about. So I'm kind of watching from the distance a little bit, but I know Ashley is covering that one, so I kind of watch what Ashley's doing. I know Colonel Kurtz is covering it. I haven't watched Colonel Kurtz's stuff on it though, currently, but I'm open to watching it. But yeah, I'll be at the moment though. The reason I'm covering the Macron stuff though is because there is an active lawsuit, so I can read filings and I'm really curious about this lawsuit as well because yeah, I just want to see how it goes, really.
Yeah, it's a very interesting case. I don't think I've ever heard of it a
Yeah.
similar one to that.
Is yeah, I think that's enough for me at the moment because Lively and Wayfarer is going to pick up. Like, we are about to get a whole boatload of stuff being unsealed, because the vast majority of it will not be it will not, you know, fall under any exemption for you know, to remain sealed. So there will be a lot of big files that are about to be unsealed, and I'm going to have my hands full with that, I think.
Oh, we're all going to have our hands full, and Blake Lively is going to be in entertainment hell.
Yeah, no, just I agree with you. I do agree that what the FBI are saying, from what I've seen, and I haven't seen it all, is things don't make sense. Absolutely. I'm not sure that's enough for me personally to say that what Candace Owens is saying is true. But I have nothing to say it's false either. I just don't know. I'm curious though. I am curious. All right, I am gonna shoot off. I will catch you all later. Tomorrow part 6 will be down, but yeah, the Candace Owen motion to dismiss will be. It's going to be released in 7 minutes, actually. So I haven't done it as a premiere though. It's just going to be a recorded video. So okay. Emmy, thank you so much for joining me. I really loved it, as always. I will speak to you on X then, I guess, and we'll plan the next thing we do.
Oh, sounds perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
No, absolutely. I've loved it. And everyone, please do go and check out Emmy's channel. She's doing a lot of really good videos. Khaleesi, yes. You're welcome. Yeah, it's something that we've been planning to do, so we will definitely be doing that. So if anyone's got any suggestions about the kind of things or experiences or something they want us to talk about in that video, then please do put them in the comments. Right. Okay, then. I'll speak to you later, Emmy.
All right. Bye, Leanne. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, everyone.